Galatians 5:16-18. I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And you do not do the things that you wish, but if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Sinasabi ko sa inyo, mamuhay kayo ayon sa Espiritu, at hindi niyo pagbibigyan ang mga pagnanasa ng laman. Sapagkat ang mga pagnanasa ng laman ay laban sa kagustuhan ng Espiritu, at ang kagustuhan ng Espiritu ay laban sa mga pagnanasa ng laman. Magkalaban ang dalawang ito, kaya napipigilan kayo sa paggawa ng nais niyong gawin. Kung pinapatnubayan kayo ng Espiritu, wala na kayo sa ilalim ng kautusan. Very rarely will you find people talking about this subject. But it is something that is a very real struggle in the lives of Christian men and women. And this message is not to condemn you and tell you that you are a sinner and that you will be cast into the lake of fire. I'm preaching to you today to inform you, to warn you. But this message is not just for you, but also for me and for everyone. You see, what the devil does is to try to make some topics taboo. And the more he does this, the more he makes a person feel he's the only one who struggles with these things. But the truth is, you are not the only one who struggles with lust. Lust is a real problem. It is something you just don't outgrow naturally. There are 15-year-olds, 60, 70-year-olds who are struggling with lust. It is not something you can simply ignore and think it will go away. Bihirang pag-usapan ng mga tao ang paksang ito, kahit na ito'y isang bagay na tunay na problema sa buhay ng mga Kristiyano. Ang ginagawa ng dyablo ay iniiwasan o pinagbabawal o kinahihiya niyang pag-usapan ang bagay na ito upang baliwalain ito ng mga tao. Na ito ay hindi problema o ikaw lang o kakonting tao lamang ang may problema nito. Ngunit ang totoo, hindi lamang ikaw ang may malaking suliranin o problema sa pagnanasa. Ang pagnanasa ay isang tunay na problema. Ito ay isang bagay na hindi mo lamang pwedeng baliwalain. Hindi mo ito pwedeng baliwalain lamang at isipin na mawawala ito ng kusa. The good news is that through Christ, we can overcome the spirit of lust. And I will give you some ways to overcome this. If you want to overcome lust, we need to recognize what we are dealing with. Lust is a unique spirit. Lust is something that has the ability to make a person make silly, stupid decisions. Lust can make someone make life-altering decisions for the sake of 20 minutes of pleasure or for a short span of gratification. But before we go into detail about the danger of lust and why each and every man and woman should fight it, we should know exactly what it is. Lust is a selfish greed or excessive wanting of something to gratify oneself. An intense sexual desire or appetite. Each time the word lust is used in the Bible, it is never used in a positive context. Rather, it is always seen in a negative light. relating either to a strong desire for sexual immorality or idolatrous worship. Lust has a great connection with covetousness and greed. Lust begins in the hearts of people and then starts to reflect in their actions and character. Ang magandang balita ay sa pamamagitan ni Kristo, maaari nating matalo ang diwa o espiritu ng pagnanasa. Kung nais nating matalo ang pagnanasa, kailangan nating kilalanin kung ano ay itong ating hinaharap. Ang pagnanasa ay isang natatanging espiritu. Ang pagnanasa ay kayang pagawin ng isang tao ng mga hangal na desisyon. Kaya nitong pagawin ng isang tao na magbago ng mga desisyon at plano sa buhay alang-alang sa maikling oras ng kasiyahan. Ang pagnanasa ay isang makasariling kasakiman o labis na pagnanais ng isang bagay upang masiyahan ang sarili. Isang matinding sexual na pagnanasa. Ang pagnanasa ay may koneksyon sa kasakiman. Ang pagnanasa ay nagsisimula sa puso ng mga tao hanggang sa magsimula din itong malarawan sa kanilang mga aksyon at katauhan. If the way we crave for God and spiritual things were the same way we crave and lust after the things of this world, our lives would be very much aligned to the purposes of God. Lust comes in all shapes and sizes. Broadly speaking, lust does not only have to do with sexual gratification, but people also lust for money. Ang pagnanasa ay hindi lamang kasihan sa sexual, ngunit ang mga tao ay may pagnanasa rin sa pera. Sa 1 Timothy 6:9-10, basahin natin. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and harmful lusts, which drown men into destruction and perdition. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil, for which some have strayed from the faith in their greediness and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. Ang mga nagnananasang yumaman ay nahuhulog sa tukso at nasisilo sa bitag ng masasama at mga hangal na hangarin na nagtutulak sa kanila sa kamatayan at kapahamakan. Sapagkat ang pag-ibig sa salapi ay ugat ng lahat ng kasamaan. Dahil sa paghangad na yumaman, may mga taong nalalayo sa pananampalataya at nadadala sa maraming kapighatian. The scripture says that those who want to be rich at all costs will fall into temptation through their foolishness and hurtful lust. Lust leads to destruction, both physically and spiritually. The love of money is the root of all evil. This word for love in Greek means a lustful kind of love. Lust in Greek is rendered as ephetelia, meaning a longing especially for what is forbidden. Sinabi ng banal na kasulatan na ang mga nais yumaman sa anumang paraan ay mahuhulog sa tukso sa pamamagitan ng kanilang kahangalan at masasakit na pagnanasa. Ang pagnanasa ay humahantong sa physical at spiritual na pagkawasa. Ang pag-ibig sa pera ay ang ugat sa lahat ng kasamaan. Ang salitang pag-ibig na ginamit sa Greko ay nangangahulugang isang masamang pagnanasa. Isang pag-ibig lalo na sa mga ipinagbabawal na bagay. Eve has lust for the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Even when she knew it was forbidden, lust will not allow her to abstain from it. Because Eve failed to deal with lust, the entire world lost its position with God and became spiritually depraved. Si Eva ay may pagnanasa sa bunga ng puno. Kahit na alam niyang pinagbabawal ito, hindi siya makaiwas dito. At dahil nabigo si Eva na labanan ang pagnanasa, ang espiritu ng buong mundo ay naging masama at ang posisyon ng mundo sa harap ng Diyos ay nawala. That is nothing good about lust. Lust destroys. Remember Gehazi, a servant of the prophet Elisha? Gehazi enjoyed a position of power, but was ultimately corrupt, misusing his authority to cheat Naaman the Syrian, a general afflicted with leprosy. As punishment, Elisha cursed Gehazi, transferring Naaman's leprosy to him and his descendants forever. He could have been the replacement of Elisha, just as Elisha, who was the servant of Elijah, replaced Elijah when he was taken by God. But Gehazi lost his glorious destiny because of his lust for material things. Imbis na siya ang papalit kay Elisha bilang propeta, siya ay naging kapalit ni Naaman bilang isang leper, isang may ketong. Nawala sa kanya ang isang sana ay maluwalhating kapalaran dahil sa pagnanasa sa mga material na bagay. We can conclude that all forms of lust lead to destruction. But we are going to focus on lust in a sexual context. There are 3 categories of lust that the Bible enumerates: the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. We could find this in 1 John 2:15 to 17. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that's in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of God abides forever. Huwag ninyong ibigin ang sanlibutan o ang mga bagay na nasa sanlibutan. Ang umiibig sa sanlibutan ay hindi umiibig sa Ama. Ang lahat ng nasa sanlibutan, ang pagnanasa ng laman, ang pagnanasa ng mga mata, at ang pagmamalaki sa buhay na ito ay hindi nagmumula sa Ama, kundi sa sanlibutan. Mawawala ang sanlibutan at ang lahat ng mga bagay na pinagnanasaan ng mga tao. Ngunit ang mga sumusunod sa kalooban ng Diyos ay mabubuhay magpakailanman. If you cannot discipline your eyes, you have a great problem with the lust of the eyes. As a man or a woman, if you cannot discipline the way you look at the opposite sex, then you are a victim of the lust of the eyes. Kung hindi mo madisiplina ang iyong mga mata, malaki ang problema mo sa pagnanasa ng mga mata. Kung hindi mo madisiplina ang pagtingin mo sa opposite sex, ikaw ay biktima ng pagnanasa ng mga mata. Job made a covenant with his eyes never to look at the nakedness of a maiden. Job 31:1. I have made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I look upon a young woman? Ako'y taimtim na nangako sa aking sarili na hindi titingin ng may pagnanasa sa ibang babae. Si Job ay nakipagtipan sa kanyang mga mata na hindi titignan ang kahuwalaan ng isang dalaga. We all know that we can go through life with our eyes closed. It's not practical. There is a difference between you just walking and someone catching your eyes. You don't have to keep looking. Why do you need to look for a second time or a third time or for a prolonged period of time? Don't look. So that's the first practical step. Don't look. I think we could all agree that there are different types of looking. When you are driving or walking or going about your business, you are looking. But there is a completely different type of looking when you are lusting after a person. That's what I'm saying not to do. You know the kind of looking that has you playing different scenarios in your mind. Let's say you are walking down the street and you see an attractive person of the opposite gender. Just carry on with your business. You don't have to turn your head and start fantasizing. Just don't look. Every fornication starts with someone looking. It only takes looking and lusting to open the door to the devil. Alam naman natin, hindi tayo pwedeng mamuhay ng nakapikit. Hindi pwedeng nakapikit lang tayo. Mayroong pagkakaiba ang pagtingin mo sa paligid mo habang naglalakad ka na wala ka namang iniisip na masama. Ngayon, pag may nakita kang nagustuhan mo, nakaakit-akit sa iyong mga mata, hindi mo kailangang manatiling nakatingin doon. Hindi mo kailangang panatilihin ang pagtingin. Magtuloy kang maglakad. Bakit kailangan kang tumingin ng pangalawa o pangatlong beses? Hanggat mabangga mo na ang kasalubong mo. Huwag kang tumingin. Titignan mo ang isang magandang babae, tapos sa isipan mo niruromansa mo na yung babae. O sa isip mo hinuhuburan mo na. O nakakita ka ng isang makisig na nakapusturang lalaki, sa isip mo nakahubo na yung lalaki. O nakabrit na lang. Mahilig tayong managinip ng gising. Uulitin ko, huwag kang tumingin. Ang tinutukoy kong pagtingin dito ay ang tumitingin ng malagkit o malalim o titigan ng may pagnanasa. Kaya't yun ang unang hakbang. Huwag kang tumingin. Jesus told us in Matthew 5:28, "But I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart." Ngunit sinabi ko sa inyo, ang sino mang tumingin sa isang babae na may pagnanasa ay nangangalunya na sa babaeng iyon sa kanyang puso. All adultery starts with someone looking. Don't look. David could not look away. He could not look away when he saw Bathsheba dating on the rooftop. Imbis na sarahan ang bintana niya, sabi niya, ang swerte ko naman. Timing na timing. That last led him to commit adultery and murder, which brought a great consequence in his life. It started with him looking and continuing to look. This is my point about lust causing people to make stupid decisions. David stole another man's wife, and then he got her husband killed because he had gotten that man's wife pregnant. Is that crazy or what? Ang pagnanasa na yon ay ang nag-akay kay David na gumawa ng pagkakiapid at pagpatay na nagdala ng isang grabe at masamang kahinatnan sa kanyang buhay. Nagsimula ito sa kanyang pagtingin. Ito ang punto ko, na ang pagnanasa ay nagtutulak sa mga tao na gumawa ng mga hangal na desisyon. Nirumansa ni David ang asawa ng ibang lalaki at pagkatapos ay pinapatay ang lalaki dahil nabuntis niya ang asawa. The reason why lust is so dangerous is because it makes people make decisions they regret. The spirit of lust makes people makes decisions they know are bad. I mean, come on. We all know, and I'm sure David knew, that messing around with another man's wife was never going to end well. Yet he still did it. Why? Because lust makes people make silly decisions. It makes people make dumb decisions. People destroy wonderful marriages because of lust. People marry people they shouldn't marry because of lust. I know I'm telling the truth. I mean, deciding who you marry is the most important decision you will make, aside from giving your life to Christ. But the spirit of lust will make you marry the wrong person. Can you think of someone else in the Bible who, because of lust, married the wrong person? Who? Sino? Samson. One day he went to a town in Philistia and saw and lusted after a woman. And he went home and immediately told his parents, I have sinned. There you go. He started with a look again. I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Now, therefore get her for my wife. His parents tried to say no. For people of God are forbidden to be equally yoked with the unbelievers. But Samson would not take no for an answer. Well, that started his trouble. He lost his wife and then got hooked with Delilah. And you know the story. Every time I read the story of Samson, it honestly makes me scratch my head. He's one of those guys that you read about, and the whole time you're thinking, seriously? Then you keep reading and you met Delilah, and that's when you throw your arms up in the air and say, what? Are you crazy? Lust will cause you to make dumb, stupid decisions. It will make you marry someone you have no business being with. Lust will make people spend money they should not be spending. Let me ask you, and don't answer out loud. Baka marinig kayo ng asawa ninyo. Has lust made you spend money you have no business spending? Has lust ever caused you to make silly decisions? Everything that happened to David and Samson started because they were looking. So my first advice is don't look. Don't look. One more time. Don't look. Ang dahilan kung bakit napakapanganib ang pagnanasa ay dahil ginagawa nitong magdesisyon ang mga tao na pagsisisihan nila. Ang diwa ng pagnanasa ay pinaggagawa ang mga tao ng mga desisyon na alam nilang masama. Alam ni David na ang pangangalo niya sa asawa ng ibang tao ay hindi magkakaroon ng mabuting kahinatnan. Ngunit nagawa pa rin niya ito. Bakit? Dahil ang pagnanasa ay tinutulak ang mga tao na gumawa ng mga hangal na desisyon. Ginagawa nitong magpasya ang mga tao ng mali. Sinisira ng mga tao ang kanilang magagandang buhay may asawa dahil sa pagnanasa. Ang mga tao ay nakakasal sa mga taong hindi nila dapat pakasalan dahil sa pagnanasa. Ang taong pakakasalan mo ay ang pinakamahalagang desisyon na gagawin ng isang tao bukod sa ibigay ang kanyang buhay kay Kristo. Ngunit ang diwa ng pagnanasa ay magpapakasal sa kanila sa maling tao. Lahat ng nangyari kay David at kay Samson ay nagsimula dahil sa kanilang pagtingin. Kaya ang aking unang payo na praktikal ay huwag tumingin. Huwag tumingin! The second practical advice to overcome lust is to stay busy and do the things you are supposed to be doing. David was supposed to be in front line at battle with his men, but he decided to stay home to watch women taking baths. After work, go home to your wife. Go home to your husband. Spend time with your family. Instead of being out and about in the world, be with your family. Instead of being out and about, go work for the Lord. If you have nothing to do, assist in your local church. You must have heard of the saying, an idle mind is the devil's playhouse. I think this came from Proverbs 16:27. Here is the Living Bible paraphrase. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Idle lips are his mouthpiece. So get busy. If you are nursing a lust in your heart, or you are practicing sins, it will bring a direct consequence that you will never be able to cope with. If you allow the craving of your flesh to lead you, if you want for your body all the comfort and pleasures it demands, then you have the lust of the flesh. People who answer to the invitation to fornicate have the lust of the flesh. People who want to get everything for themselves have the lust of the flesh. Kaya't ang pangalawang payo ko upang mapagtagumpayan ang pagnanasa ay manatiling abala at gawin ang mga bagay na dapat mong gawin. Si David ay dapat nangunguna sa labanan kasama ang kanyang mga tauhan. Ngunit nagpasya siyang manatili sa bahay upang makaboso ng mga babaeng naliligo. Pagkatapos ng trabaho, umuwi ka sa asawa mo. Umuwi ka sa bahay mo. Gumugol ka ng oras sa iyong pamilya. Sa halip na makasama ka ng mundo, ay makasama mo ang iyong pamilya. Sa halip na lumabas at bumarkada, magtrabaho para sa Panginoon. Kung wala kang magawa, maglingkod ka sa iyong local na iglesia. Kung may inaalagaan kang pagnanasa sa iyong puso o may tinatago kang paboritong mga kasalanan, magdudulot ito ng isang matinding kahinatnan na hindi mo talaga makakaya. Kung papayagan mo ang pagnanasa ng iyong laman na maghari sa iyo, mayroon kang pagnanasa ng laman. Kung nais mo para sa iyong katawan ang lahat ng ginhawa at kasiyahan na hinihiling nito, mayroon kang pagnanasa ng laman. Ang mga taong sumasagot sa paanyaya ng pakikiapid ay mayroong pagnanasa ng laman. Ang mga taong nais makuha ang lahat para sa kanilang sarili ay may pagnanasa ng laman. The third practical step is in Galatians 5:16. I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Subalit sinasabi ko, lumakad kayo ayon sa Espiritu, at huwag ninyong bigyang kasiyahan ang mga pagnanasa ng laman. The only way to escape from lust is to walk in the Spirit. If you walk in the Spirit, you will never fulfill the lust of the flesh. The two are in variance. Ang tanging paraan lamang upang makaiwas mula sa pagnanasa ay ang lumakad sa Espiritu. Kung lumalakad ka sa Espiritu, hindi mo matutupad ang pagnanasa ng laman. Magkalaban ang dalawa. We read earlier, 1 John 2:15-17. Let's read it again. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of God abides forever. This simply says we must not love the world. We must not lust after the things of this world. Many believers today are carried away by the worldly trends. They lust after riches, fame, sexual desires, position, and delight. Verse 17 tells us that this world is passing away, but he who does the will of God abides forever. This world is not our home. It's a battlefield where the devil is trying to steal, kill, and destroy anyone and everyone so he can keep them from knowing God. Our commission as Christians is to arm ourselves with the Word. And through the power of the Holy Spirit, we can share the gospel with people and win souls for Christ. And we can do this because heaven is our home. Heaven is our goal. Heaven is where Jesus is and where we want to be. Remember, brothers and sisters, this world is not our home. We are just passing through. Ang mundong ito ay lilipas. Ngunit ang gumagawa ng kalooban ng Diyos ay mananatili magpakailanman. Ang mundong ito ay hindi natin tahanan. Alalahanin mga kapatid, ang mundong ito ay hindi natin tahanan. Dumadaan lang tayo.